What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the big delay in video uploads recently. College has been pretty crazy. With final exams just now starting to wrap up, though, you can expect to see much more regular uploads from me going forward. Anyway, though, this will be the first of many upcoming schedule prediction videos that I'm going to make, where I'm going to go over every single Power 5 team's schedule and predict each game that they have going through, just a win or loss and a little bit of info about the game, how I think it'll go, not score predictions or anything like that. It is way too early to make anything like that and have it have, any real meaning. Even these predictions are going to change dramatically once we get in season and you have injuries and you start to see how things actually play out. But it's just sort of a fun thing to go ahead and get early preseason predictions on every single Power 5 team, like I said. And then once I finish each and every conference, I'm going to make a little synopsis video of my subsequent conference standings by division for each conference, just as a nice little summary wrap-up thing. But anyway, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the first team that I'm going to be doing schedule, and that is the Alabama Crimson Tide. So just some quick thoughts that I have on Alabama as a team this year. I fully expect them to be a legitimate playoff level team who is vastly improved upon what they were last year, which was already the national runner-ups, after suffering some pretty unfortunate injuries along the way as well, of a very young, inexperienced team. So, obviously, if I think they're going to be even better than they were last year, you can sort of guess that I have them with a very strong record this year, and I'm very confident in what they're going to do heading into this upcoming season. And so let's just go ahead and get some of these easy cupcake games out of the way that I don't feel are particularly worthy of much discussion, and those games are Utah State, ULM, Austin Peay, and Vandy. None of these teams have a prayer of winning against Alabama, barring something absolutely cataclysmic happening. There's really no point in even talking much about them. They're not going to be close games. It's not worth even really mentioning. So, moving on from those, let's get into the other teams on the schedule. And the first one I want to talk about is at Texas. And this is one of the most interesting games of the early season, not just for all of the on-the-field intrigue about how each team's going to match up, but there's also a lot of off-the-field intrigue with this one, with multiple Bama transfers ending up at Texas, as well as Steve Sarkisian, who came from Bama as an offensive coordinator at Texas. There's a lot of familiarity there, and that should be pretty interesting to watch for sure. And Texas is an on-the-rise team with a lot of new talent that I expect to be much improved, but they just aren't ready for this level of a Bama team just yet. I think Bama wins likely by multiple scores, but I do think the game will be pretty interesting early on, and it'll be a fun watch early in the season. The next one is at Arkansas, and this game is one of the spots where I think Bama could legitimately get upset. I would put them on upset alert for this one, coming right before Texas A&M and at Tennessee. It is the beginning of a super hard stretch of games for Alabama, so you could have a little bit of a look-ahead factor. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue with a Nick Saban team, and playing a team as good as Arkansas is going to be. I don't think that'll really play in too much, but Arkansas is just a team that I'm super high on next year. They have the talent and the coaching level to compete at the highest level of the sport, but Bama is certainly the better team on this one. It could be a scary game. I fully expect Arkansas to give them a solid run, but I still think Bama wins. It just isn't going to come super easily. Got Bama winning the game, though. Next one I want to talk about is Texas A&M, and for all of the hype that this game is going to get, I do legitimately think Bama will win this one pretty handedly. The revenge factor is going to be a major player here, plus the game being at home. That's going to loom large as well. Being at Alabama, it's going to be very tough for A&M to go in there and get a win. A&M has tremendous talent, but a lot of it is very young. The quarterback spot is still very uncertain for them. And while I do think the quarterback play will be good, I just don't think it's going to be great against a highly motivated Bama team at home. Add in the revenge factor. I just think Bama's going to end up winning this one by 2 or more scores. I know it's not the popular opinion here. A lot of people think A&M is really ready to compete. And I think they will be competitive here. I think Bama is going to come out particularly strong in this game, and I think they're going to make a statement win here. And that brings me to the next game, which is at Tennessee, and this is the other game that I see a very real shot at an upset occurring, being on the road after the A&M and the Arkansas games. That is a major factor here. Plus, Tennessee is going to be in full-on Super Bowl mode here. Throw everything at them. This is going to be their biggest game of the year. They're going to be as motivated as you can get for this game. Hendon Hooker and that offense will have the ability to score quickly and with super explosive plays, even if Bama's defense prevents them from putting together more, consistent long drives. Tennessee's the kind of team that can score in bunches really quick, and that gives them a chance to play at above their talent level and their competition level. However, I just don't think Tennessee is good enough to pull it off in this one. Despite them being another very scary team, I think Bama still comes out with the win here. I just don't think they're going to actually be able to get the upset. Next game is Mississippi State, and really the only real hope that State has in this game is that they are the last game of the hardest stretch of Alabama's schedule, and they're right before the Bama bye week. So there's a little bit of chance that you could have a little bit of a look ahead to the bye week, them getting ready to get some time off, coming off of a very tough stretch at Arkansas, home A&M, at Tennessee. Very tough stretch of games for them. Mississippi State catched them right at the end. It's perfect timing for this to set up like a trap game of sorts, but it's in Tuscaloosa, and there's a massive talent gap between the two teams. I just don't see Mississippi State posing enough of a threat here to pull off the upset. I think Bama rolls in that one as well. And then there is at LSU. This game could be interesting, but the quarterback situation at LSU is a major concern here. Nobody has really established themselves as the number one guy for LSU just yet. And while by this point in the season, when this game occurs, the starter should be well known for a while, but the point is that there isn't a quarterback who has really just come in and is clearly ready to take that job and be that elite level quarterback to take LSU to higher levels. And LSU's also in the midst of a major overhaul, entire coaching staff changing, lots of roster turnover. And so they could end up being a legitimate top 15 level team. They have a lot of talent to pull that off. It's just they could also end up barely making a bowl game. There's too much unknown with them. I think Bama is going to win here because they're just a much better, more experienced team at this point, going up against a first-year head coach and entire coaching staff with Brian Kelly at LSU, and they also have incredible roster turnover with the transfer portal, uncertainty at quarterback. There's just too much unknown for me to pick LSU in an upset here. Then there is at Ole Miss, and I think Ole Miss has a chance to be very good next year. We know Kiffin's going to put out a super high-level offense. The defense should be improved, in my opinion. I just don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year, and once again, I just think Bama is a much better team top to bottom, which is a continuous trend we're going to see in the schedule here than we have seen. Like I said, Ole Miss is good. They're a very good team next year, I think, and they have a shot to maybe contend for a 10-win season at the high end of it. But I just don't think that they're going to be able to beat Alabama. They're not nearly as good. Plus, Nick Saban sort of has a history of performing incredibly well against Lane Kiffin at this point. I think Bama rolls here as well. It'll be a game that'll be fun to watch, though, for sure. And then that leaves Auburn, and honestly, if this wasn't like the big rivalry game that it is, I would give Auburn no chance of winning it. Bama is far superior roster-wise. They're far superior coaching-wise. Auburn has a whole dumpster fire of off-the-field distractions right now. But, then there's also last year's scare with Auburn that Alabama had in a game that they had no business being that close in. And then it is also the Iron Bowl. And so that ensures Alabama won't overlook it. However, it also, rivalry week is always crazy. There's never any guarantees of anything. I have Bama winning it and winning it easily. But it could, crazier things have happened. It's the Iron Bowl. You never know what you're going to get with that one. And so that would leave Bama with a 12-0 team, which I really, really don't like to predict that anyone ever goes undefeated because it rarely happens, if at all. And I would not at all be shocked if Bama ends up at 11-1. That seems like the much more likely scenario by dropping just a surprise game somewhere along the way. I just can't find one team that I'm confident enough in to predict that they'll actually pull off the upset. If I had to pick one, it would either be Arkansas or Tennessee, but games like Ole Miss, LSU, and Texas A&M also have legit shots at pulling off the upset as well. Even Mississippi State, just because of where they are on the schedule, I'm just not confident enough that anyone's actually going to be able to do it. Bama returns the best offensive player and the best defensive players in the country. For, more info on how I feel about them as a roster and as a team next year, check out my other Alabama video that I made where I explain why they just aren't going anywhere next season. They're going to be right back in the national championship conversation like always. Anyway, though, that'll wrap it up for this video. Let me know down in the comment section below where you agree with me, where you disagree with me on the Alabama schedule in 2022. Tell me what you think their record is going to be as well, and, you know, who, if anyone, can upset them on their regular season schedule. Also, if you've made it this far in the video, please be sure to go ahead and leave a like on it because it helps out the channel tremendously, and subscribe for more college football content in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.